Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Mike J, and I'm back again with another video. A couple weeks back, I collaborated with the Golden Sorcerer as we presented the top 10 greatest movies of the 21st century. It's a video where we discuss what we thought were the greatest movies to grace the 21st century, or movies that we have considered to be endearing classics of modern cinema. However, even with all the modern classics we've been blessed with, hot damn, we've also had some massive abominations of this century as well. Because if I'm gonna talk about things of what are the best on this channel, I'm also gonna have to talk about the worst. Which is why today I'll be presenting you the top 12 worst movies of the 21st century. And oh boy, this is gonna be a rough video for me to get through. But here's the thing, if I gotta suffer, y'all gotta suffer with me. So that's just the way it goes. As usual, before I start this list, here are some honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions. The Haunting of Sharon Tate, The Love Guru, the 2006 Wicker Man remake, The Master of Disguise, Saving Christmas, Movie 43, Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star, Pearl Harbor, Joss Whedon's Justice League, aka Justice League, Food Fight, A Fairly Odd Movie, Grow Up, Timmy Turner, the Michael Bay Transformers franchise, and the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. Kicking off this list at number 12, Geely. I honestly don't feel like I have to explain how bad Geely is other than showing you this infamously cringy scene.
It's turkey time.
Huh?
Gobble, gobble.
With a combination of atrociously bad dialogue, the subpar romantic chemistry between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, and even receiving 6 Razzie Awards, Geely was such an utter catastrophe both critically and commercially to the point where it ultimately ended the career of the director Martin Brest, as he would never make another film after this, which to me speaks volumes. Coming at number 11, Battlefield Earth. I mean, what can I say about Battlefield Earth that hasn't been said for like the past 24 years? It's such an embarrassingly awful movie that has weak visual effects, laughably bad character designs, a dull story, atrocious dialogue, and some god-awful performances. It's not even that it's so bad that it's laughable, it's just so bad that it's just bad. But all I'm trying to say is, don't watch this movie unless you want to have bloody eyes. Number 10, pretty much all Tyler Perry movies. Just literally all of them. I can respect the fact that Tyler Perry is a hard worker. You know, the guy has a pretty good work ethic. However, what I can't respect is the way he makes his movies, because of the fact that they're corny, have predictable plots, and the worst of all, the way he poorly depicts both black men and black women. Like seriously, like he has such an obsession of always making black people like we're terrible people. And I don't like that at all. And please, for fuck's sake, don't even get me started with his character Medea, who for my money is not only just the most annoying character ever created, but the worst character, just period. Coming at number 9, The Adventures of Pluto Nash. I love Eddie Murphy. He's one of my all-time favorite comedians and one of the actors who defined my childhood. He'll forever be best known for his classic films, whether if it's the first 2 Shrek movies, Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places, and even Coming to America. However, with that being said, even with all the classics he's blessed us with in his illustrious career, he's also been in some movies that are pretty fucking terrible. Well, most would say Norbit is his worst movie, but the cream of the crop of his shitty films has to be the 2002 movie, The Adventures of Pluto Nash. On paper, Pluto Nash did seem like a really good idea. However, when it came to the big screen, that completely backfired, as the movie was both a critical and commercial failure, as it would go on to become one of the biggest box office flops of all time. Well, there's no denying that Eddie Murphy is a funny and likable actor, but in this film, he is just so bland. To make matters even worse, the movie features such a phenomenal cast of actors from Rosario Dawson, Joe Pantoliano, the late Burt Young, Pam Grier, John Cleese, even Alec Baldwin, and all of them were completely wasted in this shit fest of a comedy that has such an unfunny script and a lazy direction. In conclusion, The Adventures of Pluto Nash is such an absurdly terrible movie and is unquestionably the worst movie of Eddie Murphy's career. Coming at number 8, Cats. Now, anybody who knows me should know that I'm not really the biggest fan of musicals, because sometimes I just find them to be very cheesy and a bit corny at times. Even though there are a few good ones that I do like. However, when it came to watching the 2019 movie Cats, oh god, what an abomination that shit was. I have no clue what Universal Studios were smoking when they thought this was a good idea to make a shitty musical about cats. Like, for me, it's not even to the point where it's so bad that it's good. It's just bad. From the atrociously traumatizing CGI, the terrible song numbers, and on top of that, wasting an impeccable cast of actors. I really have nothing else to say about Cats. It's utterly terrible, and anybody who thinks it's a good movie, I just question your humanity. Number 7, the Emoji Movie. Yeah, don't feel like I have to say much about the Emoji Movie. It's just annoying, stupid, and pointless, and has no business even existing at all. Number 6, Son of the Mask. One of the most defining works of Jim Carrey's career, The Mask is such a beloved classic. The movie itself represents the almost inhuman comedy style that put Carrey on the map, but not only that, it also features Cameron Diaz in her film debut as the luscious Tina Carlisle. As a result, The Mask was a critical and commercial success as it was widely praised for its comedy, the mind-blowing visual effects that have aged gracefully, and the chemistry between Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz as the movie cemented both of them as leading actors of the 90s. However, for some inexcusable reason, New Line Cinema thought it was a great idea to produce a standalone spin-off sequel called Son of the Mask, which was released 11 years after The Mask. I could put this in a lot of fancy terms, but simply put, Son of the Mask sucks. This movie is utterly atrocious. Why, you ask? Because it lacks everything of what made the first movie so awesome. Son of the Mask just comes off so gimmicky, humor that is just awful, the writing falls flat, and on top of that, an overuse of CGI that looks horrifically terrible. There are just like no redeeming qualities of Son of the Mask at all whatsoever. It's a movie that is just best forgotten, and it should have never been made in the first place. Coming at number 5, Catwoman. Back in 2002, Halle Berry made history by being the first ever black woman to ever win an Oscar for Best Actress in a Leading Role, making her the first and questionably the only black actress to ever achieve this. However, despite this crowning achievement in her career, it also would mark a bit of a damper on her career for quite some time, because much like so many actors before her, she would suffer from the infamous Oscar curse where you would win an Oscar but wouldn't really go to do a lot of great things afterwards. And the lowest point that she would reach with this infamous curse was the 2004 movie directed by Pete Off Catwoman, which is arguably, if not, the worst comic book movie ever made. The movie has video game style CGI that looks absolutely horrendous, terrible dialogue, way too much choppy editing, an abundance of corny cat-filled puns, and even a laughably bad villain played by Sharon Stone. For Halle Berry to go from having an Oscar-winning performance for Monsters Ball to having a Razzie-winning performance for Catwoman within a span of 3 years is just bonkers. Like, it's just hard to put it into words. Like, it's just literally insane. Oh yeah, and I can't forget to mention the fact that Catwoman features possibly the most cringe-inducing movie scene I've ever witnessed.
What the hell is that?
Coming at number 4, Mean Girls 2. Oh man, where the fuck do I even begin with Mean Girls 2? AKA the shitty sequel to the original 2004 Mean Girls that nobody, and I repeat, nobody asked for. There are tons of reasons why the original Mean Girls garnered a huge cult following and has been one of the most fondly remembered movies of the 21st century. Why, you ask? Well, because the movie features a great script written by Tina Fey, spot-on humor, loads of memorable characters, and a shitload of memorable lines that people still quote to this very day. Mean Girls 2, on the other hand, lacks all the charm of what made the original so special, because it pretty much has all the problems that Son of the Mask has. It features a whole new cast of actors that features none of the original characters from the first film. Most, if not all, the characters come off to be annoying, boring, or just downright cringy to watch. The story is egregiously boring because it's just a cheap knockoff version from the first film. Terrible acting, terrible dialogue. Like, do I need to keep going? Because I can make a whole list of this. I could do a whole video about Mean Girls 2, but simply put, it is such a huge disgrace to the first film that feels nothing more than just a watered-down Disney Channel version of it. And I gotta say, whoever's dumbass idea it was to make this garbage-ass cash grab sequel deserves to be arrested. Number 3, Jack and Jill. Over the past several years, Adam Sandler has had such a massive resurgence in his career, which is very good to see. He's proven himself that he can be a great actor when he chooses to be, as he's shown his acting range in movies like The Meyerowitz Story, Punch Drunk Love, and even Uncut Gems. However, that doesn't salvage the fact that he's like the one actor people always associate for being featured in movies that are just the fucking worst. While movies like Little Nicky, Pixels, and even That's My Boy were close contenders to being Adam Sandler's worst film, but the shit-tainting icing on the cake of his god-awful films has to be Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill made history for all the wrong reasons, for not only just being well regarded as one of the worst films ever made, but also became the first movie in history to sweep the Razzie Awards in each single category, from Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Actor, Worst Actress, and Worst Screenplay. Why? Because of the fact that Jack and Jill simply is a movie that is just so diabolically unwatchable, as the comedy is just painfully unfunny, awfully mean-spirited, way too much toilet humor, and on top of that, you also have the legend himself, Al Pacino, who finds himself in this mess that only makes this movie even a lot worse. I could do a whole video on this, but simply put, Jack and Jill is hands down one of the worst movies of all time and is unquestionably Adam Sandler's worst film, and is a movie that just honestly deserves to burn in hell. For the runner-up at number 2, The Last Airbender. If I'm being honest, you could switch the top 2 and I don't think anybody would disagree because, spoiler alert, Dragon Ball Evolution is at the top of the list. But seriously, the downfall of M. Night Shyamalan as a director is something that really needs to be studied because it's so astonishing how he went from producing amazing movies from like The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, and then it was just completely downhill for him as he would go on to produce some of the most god-awful movies, not just of his career, but arguably some of the worst movies ever made. M. Night Shyamalan's fall from grace was largely thanks to this misguided, mismarketed shitfest of a film that was based on the charming yet brilliant Nickelodeon cartoon series Avatar: The Last Airbender. Avatar: The Last Airbender is such a well-beloved show that is best known for its iconic characters, philosophical messages, and amazing story arcs. The live adaptation of the film, however, completely disrespects everything that made the show special, especially how most of the characters and the relationships of the characters completely lack charm and personality. Not to mention the fact that the movie has such a rushed plot because the way they try to pack all 3 seasons into this single film, which was so pitifully executed, and you have so many characters' names that are so stupidly mispronounced, from Aang to Ong to Uncle Iroh to Uncle Iroh. Like, you can't make this up. Even with The Last Airbender making some pretty decent money at the box office, most diehard lovers of the beloved TV show have condemned this movie's existence as nothing more than just a dull and insulting misfire of a film that completely spits on the face of not only just the TV show, but also the diehard lovers of the TV show. And coming in at number 1, Dragon Ball Evolution. Widely regarded as the worst anime to cinema adaptation of all time, Dragon Ball Evolution, for some particular reason, is a film that exists that introduced its versions of its iconic characters, whether if it's Goku, Bulma, or even Piccolo. But then, the people in charge of the film decided to drastically change the mythology of what they were a part of. As a result, much like The Last Airbender, Dragon Ball Evolution was massively panned by critics, and justifiably so, whether if it's the cliched plot, the bad dialogue, the god-awful CGI, and the acting, including in that some of the most questionable casting decisions, whether if it's Emmy Rossum being casted as Bulma, who's best known as Fiona Gallagher from Shameless, and even James Marster playing Piccolo, who's best known as Spike from the iconic TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This movie was so atrocious that it made the Dragon Ball Z creator Akira Toriyama to come out of retirement and start writing Dragon Ball Z again, which goes to show you that if the creator hates this movie, then that just speaks volumes. The scary part of Dragon Ball Evolution is that it was meant to receive a whole bunch of sequels, but due to the movie being such a critical and commercial failure, all those plans were completely scrapped, and honestly, thank God for that. But yeah, overall, Dragon Ball Evolution is a movie that deserves all the hate it gets. It's a movie that has no business even existing, and to me, it is unquestionably the worst movie of the 21st century, and also one of the worst movies of all time.